Ladies and gentlemen, we are filming here on Monday, March 23rd for Wednesday, March 25th. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FifthDimensionRadio.com, and you know what that means.
10-cent beer night.
The official sports show of FifthDimensionRadio.com. And I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
And we like to call him Baseball Bob on here, which is more important because today is our Major League Baseball preview. We have made it this far. As when you're listening at 7:30, about 8 or 8:30, I forget. I think it's 8 o'clock. I'm going by memory here. The season will tip off with the New York Yankees at the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco on Netflix. That's where Netflix is going to have the first
come
game.
on.
And that's why they did it instead of doing it overseas like they did the past couple years with the Dodgers and Cubs and there was somebody else. It was the Cubs last year. I forget who the Dodgers played 2 years ago.
Ain't like the old days.
No, it's not with Cincinnati and all that. But real quick before we get into baseball, because we're going to be talking baseball most of the show, we do have to touch on our basketball. And unfortunately,
our Zips are done.
Our Zips are done. Our Buckeyes are done. And a quick shout out to Miami of Ohio, who did win the play-in and then lost in their first round there. So just a preview of just the team. We're not going to go by with everybody except for we'll mention the big upsets here. But Ohio State did lose to TCU 64-66. I watched the game. Ohio State marched back. They played very well.
They had a couple chances to win that game.
Right. This is Ohio. Remember, this is not football Ohio State. So this year was a step forward compared to what they had been doing the past couple of years, and it's tough to watch it. But the fact that TCU said we would beat Ohio State 9 games out of 10, and then they barely beat them, I think that said a lot right there. In that bracket, there wasn't a big upset in the first in that region. Excuse me, there wasn't an upset in that first round there. Number 11 VCU beating number 6 North Carolina 82-78 was a big deal. That was an overtime win right there. Texas A&M beating St. Mary's 63-50 was a technical upset there, so that was a good one. Utah State beating Villanova 86-76. Their High Point beating Wisconsin 83-82.
That was an upset.
That was a big upset there. Texas beating BYU 79-71. BYU's forward there. I'm trying to bring it up and it's not letting me bring up. He's expected to be a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. Should he go? And then I just lost my place here. But he scored like 35 points. I mean, it was a good game for him there. We had St. Louis beat up Georgia 102-77. That one could have gone either way. And then, like I said, Texas Tech beat Akron 91-71. The score doesn't say it all.
But there was times Akron got within 5 points. They struggled right off the bat. I mean, they went first 7 layups they missed before they made their eighth shot to get the first 2 points. But like I said, Akron played within 5 a couple times during the game. But towards the last 3 or 4 minutes is when they pulled away from Akron.
Right. I think what hurt him, Tavar Johnson did not play very well. Unfortunately, he missed a lot more.
I think he only had 4 points the whole game.
Right. If he hit at least 10 of those layups he missed a lot of layups. We're talking a whole different score here. I'm not blaming him for the entire because there was turnovers too was bad. There was even one where Lyles had the ball and one of their small guards just snatched it out of his hand. And I went, "What are you like? You did it. You're the bigger guy. You did it."
And they just didn't. But you know what? They had a great season. We got 29 wins, the most we've ever had during the Zip seasons over the years. Most of the wins they've had, even the years they was in the Division II and made the Final Four 2 or 3 times.
Right.
A national runner-up 1 time, but they had a great year. And you know what? We losing a lot of seniors. Let's just see what's going to happen
the
next year. The
transfer portal is going to be interesting. They are going to go into next year if everybody stays, which will be the most hopefully. Young, that point guard off the bench, will probably be their starter. You got the younger Mahaffey brother there. He will probably be a starter. And then I don't. His name's hard to say, but the kid they got out of Duquesne, the bigger, who played actually pretty well in that tournament game. He will probably be one of our big men under the basket.
But I'm interested to see who Groves will go out and get.
Right.
With the protocol now, you can pretty much get anybody you want.
Right. Well, they have the biggest NIT budget in the MAC right now. 1, 2. They are an attractive position, especially the players that want to play now. And the MAC is getting. We've talked about that, and that's partially why the MAC's getting stronger. And I know people are like, we only get one team. This year we got 2 by technicality. But here's the bottom line: is watching that MAC championship game this year and reviewing what it looked like 14 years ago. It is way better basketball. The players are better. Everybody's better. I mean, we talked about. I'm going outside of sports here, but the football teams are getting ready. They're in the spring right now, and the Zips recruited a wide receiver out of Florida. I don't have his name in front of me right now, but he was one of the top, not just in the class, but in Florida. He turned down the University of Florida to go to the Akron Zips because he was going to play right away. The University of Florida was going to redshirt him.
Most of those big schools are like that.
Right.
You go there, you're going to sit for a year or two.
Right.
And why go to this? I tell these kids in baseball, why go to? I want to go to Stanford. Well, you go to Stanford, you're going to sit 2 or 3 years before you get even a shot. If you go to Akron, you're going to play. Believe me, a scout is going to see you no matter where you're at.
Right. Right.
Go somewhere where you're going to play, period, right off the bat.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask the coach, when do you think I'm going to play? When do you think I'm going to get that opportunity?
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask the coach that.
Absolutely, and that's some good advice there to the younger guys. I mean, he's not going to see this, but I have an uncle who he played. He walked onto Akron Zip Soccer. That's a premier program in the NCAA. Didn't get to play. He was goalkeeper, but he was a little shorter. He was not too much taller than I was, but he did well in high school. And he said his biggest regret, he said he should, instead of walking on, he should have got a scholarship at Division III and played. Because he wasn't good. He walked off, but they had no intention of playing him. And it upset him and whatnot. It is what it is. It hurt his ego. But he walked on to, the program is bigger than what it was back then, but it was still a solid program back then. Even asked some refs I played for.
And we talked about this before.
When I was high school.
And especially baseball. We're going with baseball because that's where I'm good at. Right. Last year's draft, Major League draft, 68% of the kids were drafted out of D2, D3, junior college, and high school. So that only leaves 30% of the bigger schools, the D1 schools, you're getting drafted. So you're being seen in baseball.
Right.
Go somewhere where you're going to play. You're going to be seen. Believe me, you're going to be seen. You're going to be. If you're not seen, the scouts are going to hear about you, and they're going to come and see you.
Right. Absolutely. To finish my thought where I was going with that.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. It was good advice. I hope somebody at least one person picks it up. They hear it because we have such a variety of listeners. I don't know how many youngsters that are actively seeking scholarships are going to hear it. But my point being is this wide receiver recruit, they're already saying he's a top 3 in program history. But because of this is where the NIT and the transfer portal and all that, this is where it's the bright side of it. He's coming to Akron because he's going to play right. He might be one and done. He might go to the bigger university after this year. Who knows? But this is a potential NFL prospect coming to Akron because he's going to play. And you're going to get that was the same thing I think with you saw Evan Mahaffey and Hardman with Ohio State. I don't know their personal situations with them, but they did start with Ohio State and they transferred to Akron, but I don't know if they would have got the same amount of playing time.
I don't think so either.
And how critical they were there. This is where the downside is, you lose guys. Akron lost a couple guys that they could have used in this game and this year.
If we would have had those 2 guys there, we definitely would have went.
Right.
We definitely would have moved on.
And I would say they both would have benefited more playing again in Akron. especially the big man there that didn't get much playing time at Utah, University of Utah there. And I'm not digging at them hard or anything. Don't get me wrong. They made a decision. They probably made some good money too. But the bottom line is, in the Max getting stronger because some of these more talented players that are probably not going to be pro prospects are saying I get to play right away, and Gross is such a good coach that they like playing under him. And the win about losing in the first round, we're probably guaranteed to keep Gross at least another year. Because I always do think of if we made it to the Sweet 16, what would have looked like after that? Just like Ohio University found out a bit ago. But go fast forwarding to round 2 upsets here. Again, actually, I didn't want to read off Miami, Ohio's.
All I know is my bracket's already been busted, big time.
All of them, yeah. With Virginia's loss to Tennessee last night, the last remaining perfect ESPN bracket was busted. So that happened. So yeah, Tennessee beat Miami, Ohio 78-56. So Miami hung on in there. But round 2 upsets. St. John beating Kansas 67-65.
I don't know if that wasn't really an upset.
They were a lower seed, but you're right. I mean,
St. John's always got some good basketball programs.
We are in Cuyahoga Falls. Darren Peterson did have the most points by a freshman in a Kansas program in the tournament. I think it was 28 points.
He's a Cuyahoga Falls boy.
Yeah. And he could be the first overall pick too if he goes in the draft, and I think he will.
He played for what? Walsh Jesuits?
No, he played for CVCA.
CVCA.
Sophomore year, and then he transferred out of Ohio. Number 9 Iowa beating number 1 Florida. The defending champs go down 73-72. Iowa came back and won in the last seconds there. Trying to think. High Point almost pulled off another upset with Arkansas there. They played very well there. Number 11 Texas beat number 3 Gonzaga 74-68. That was good upset. Gonzaga tends to do they tend to go. They only went to round 2 this year, but they tend to go a little further, and then they get upset by somebody. That tends to be, as I mentioned, that tends to be the case. And as I mentioned, number 6 Tennessee beat number 3 Virginia 79-72. So your Sweet 16 this weekend. I'm just going to go by the matchups, not necessarily the schedule, but number 1 Duke against number 5 St. John's, number 3 Michigan State versus number 2 UConn, and then number 9 Iowa versus number 4 Nebraska. That's a Big Ten matchup there. I like that. Number 3 Illinois versus number 2 Houston, and Houston having good basketball and football programs of recent. Number 1 Arizona, number 4 Arkansas. No, I don't. Speaking of Arizona, they did redshirt Bryce James. Don't listen to the Facebook rumors that he's going in the draft. That's all just mumble jumble. He was redshirted, so I don't expect him.
That's so he gets another year of eligibility.
Right. And number 11 Texas against number 2 Purdue there. So much of the teams left are Big Ten.
Yeah, I seen that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I forgot to mention number 1 Michigan against number 4 Alabama, and number 6 Tennessee against number 2 Iowa State. So yeah, 6, 7.
6 of the 16 teams.
Right, are Big Ten.
Big Ten schools.
And Big Ten had a great year, and they're showing it there. Now there'll be at least for sure one of the Big Ten teams will lose between Iowa and Nebraska, but other than
Who's Michigan playing?
Michigan is playing at Bama.
That could be a good game.
Right. That could be, I can see Michigan go. I hate to say that, but they are very good.
I see that Purdue just pulled one out the other day.
Yeah, Purdue did. So Purdue's weird because a lot of people had them as the favorite, but they've been kind of, they're performing how you think they would, and then they don't. So it's.
I know when Akron played them at the beginning of the season, they were rated number 1.
Right. So real quick, because we do have a lot of baseball to talk about most of the show, I do want to touch up on the Cavs real quick. Last week they went 3-0.
You predicted it.
I said that I think they should.
You predicted it.
Tuesday night against the Bucks, they won 123-116. Giannis did not play. They're trying to shut him down for the rest of the season, and he doesn't want to. Bulls they beat 115-110, and that was without Donovan Mitchell there. He hurt his eye, and it was bad. It was bloodshot. It sucks. something happened there. Saturday they played the Pelicans. They came back and won, 111-106. Donovan Mitchell and James Harden scoring a combined 25 points in the fourth quarter. Sam Merrill with his first double-double of his career with 15 points and 10 rebounds there. So this week, you'll know the result by the time you hear this. Tuesday on NBC and Peacock, they will play the Magic at home. This is a big one. Magic definitely want to beat them, and they beat them in Orlando last time. Wednesday and Friday, both on FanDuel. Fridays will be on NBA TV. Both games at home against the Miami Heat. Okay, and those are ones they should win. But watch out for the Heat because they are starting to heat up, pun intended. Bam Adebayo having an 83-point game about a week or so ago. You have Tyler Hero back, and he's healthy. As far as the Cavs and health-wise go, they're waiting to see what happens with Jared Allen. We don't know if he's going to play. By the time you hear it, you'll know, but we don't know if he's going to play Tuesday. He was out for the road trip. We don't know what's going on with Tyrese Proctor. Craig Porter's going to be out a couple weeks. And so that's so they lose a backup point guard. I mean, they have enough depth there to make up for it, but we would like to see Jared Allen back there. Dean Wade's been inconsistent. He's either been hurt or he's been playing. When he's been playing, he's been good. This is his best second half in a while. But just I would like to see everybody out there healthy, especially when you got tougher games coming. You got some tougher games coming up, I should say. But I think they should at least this week go at least 2-1. It'd be great if they go 3-0. But it's like that Magic game is up in there. They should beat them. I think the Cavs are the better team, but Magic really showed up last time and beat them. But it was one of those games where Magic couldn't miss. Since our next 10-cent beer night, they will play in Utah next Monday. They did lose to Utah in Cleveland earlier this year. So, and Utah's a team they can beat. But that game, this was when still the Cavs were having problems. They hadn't made their major trades or anything yet, and so things were still kind of jumbled up.
I just want to see the Cavs get healthy.
Right.
I want to see them healthy.
Because I know if they're healthy, they're going to be dominant, and
they haven't played a game in a while that everybody's been healthy.
Right. And look they're still fourth in the conference. They're about 2.5 games out of third. Pistons did clinch. They are 3 games behind second, 7.5 behind first. A lot of there's reports that said they want to stay fourth because they have an easier road to the Eastern Conference Finals. But it's at the same time, it's like you want to win as much as you can, and I would like to see them go with third because the idea is if they stay at fourth, they're most likely playing the Raptors, who by the way have swept the Cavs to this point. I think they might play them one more time. I'll have to see, but they've beat the Cavs so I'm not taking the Raptors lightly, but the Raptors, and then they play the Pistons, who they match up well, and then that would take them to most likely the Celtics, prediction-wise, in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't like the idea of throwing a game or two to keep that. I think just win as much as you can because, just if you're truly the best of that conference, you're going to show it. If you're not, it's going to come out, and that's what happened last year. They just weren't. Indiana was, and it showed. And now Indiana's the worst team in the East, so they'll have a high pick on top of players coming back from injury. They had to just shut that Vincent Zubac there. But real quick, before we go on break, a shout out to Darius Garland. He had a 41-point and 11-assist game, only the 4th Clipper to ever do that. So he is playing well over there. He hasn't played a ton, but when he's played, it's overall been well. But you can tell the vibe is different because he's on a losing team, and it's showing in the interviews. So he's not as energetic as he's been, but he's been working hard and trying. So we wish him the best. But that he was kind of like the player of the night Saturday night in the NBA with how well he played there. So we got to take a break. When we come back, our Major League Baseball preview starts, and we'll talk about that and more. Stay tuned. And welcome back to 10 Cent Beer Night here at FifthDimensionRadio.com. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
10 Cent Beer Night was named after an incident regarding a Major League Baseball game.
In 1974?
Yep.
So,
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And now a new Major League Baseball season starts, and we are very excited to talk about it right here, right now. And I hope you guys are having some good drafts. Well, I finished all my drafts last week. Interesting stuff happened across the board, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to another year here. Did get a couple of my basketball teams in the finals there, but we'll see how that pans out in a couple weeks.
I just never could get into this fantasy stuff.
It's fun.
I just never could.
Wait until you do. No, you're probably not going to ever do it, but the dynasty leagues, mostly in football, and where you have one basketball too, you carry the players on in the next year and you actually build your team. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, like I said, I just never. I don't know. Never got into it.
We're going to start with the National League in this, and we're going to start with the National League East here real quick. So I'm looking at the potential lines with first. We're going to talk about the teams, some additions, some players to watch out for, and then we're going to make our picks for the standings and whatnot. So we're going to start with the East here. Atlanta Braves here. Hopefully a healthy Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the top players in the league. He was out for a chunk of the beginning of last year, but they came back and did very, very well. But the team did not do very well. I mean, they're coming off one of their worst seasons in a while. They're going to be relied on him, young Drake Baldwin catcher. You got Matt Olson and Austin Riley if they can go back to their old ways. The same thing with Ozzie Albies. I mean, there's a lot of question marks. Can these guys turn it around to be the players that we know they can be, that they haven't been for a few years? They did add Kyle Farmer. That was one of the other bats. Mostly it's prospects across the board. Their rotation, including, again, mostly younger guys, but Chris Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder, and Jose Suarez. Spencer Strider is expected to be on the start the season, the injured list, but not he will be back in due time, and that's the guy to watch out for, because if he is himself, and last year he came back from Tommy John, and he got lit up. And I mean, he did not look like himself, but he was hitting 94, 96 on the gun in spring training. So if he can, I mean, he was supposed to be the top pitcher of 2 years ago in fantasy, because how great he looked in 2023. But, I mean, we'll see if he can come back here. Miami Marlins there, a young group, but a very talented group. Xavier Edwards, second baseman. Augustin Ramirez, the catcher. Some guys you have to look out for there. They will be without Kyle Stowers, who was their all-star last year. He strained his right hamstring in camp. They're not sure if he's going to be on the injured list or not, but that's the guy. He's very talented.
I look for him to be out about 6 weeks. 6 weeks to 2 months.
Really? Is it that bad?
I think so.
Okay, I mean that's a good chunk of time. I mean, he's a talented power hitter too.
From what I heard and read.
So hopefully not, but we'll see. We'll see. But I mean, right now it's like I said, Bob is saying it's not looking good. Rotation is different. You got some younger guys, and of course Sandy Alcantara that did okay last year. Again, this is a guy, Cy Young winner, recovering from a Tommy John surgery, came back last year. He got lit up, but he had a lot of interest in the trade deadline. It didn't happen. You have Yuri Perez and Max Meyer as well. Veterans Chris Paddock and Jansen Junk will be at the end of the rotation there for the Marlins there. The New York Mets there, I mean, absolutely across the board, very talented team.
They got the best of what money can buy.
Right, exactly. Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, of course, are the top players to look out for. They traded for Jorge Polanco. They're going to move into the first base. They traded for Luis Roberts. He'll be their center field. Trade for Marcus Semien. He'll be their second baseman. They signed Bo Bichette. They're going to move him to third because it's Lindor at short. Their rotation is going to be led by a guy they also traded some good prospects for, Freddie Peralta, coming off a great season with the Milwaukee Brewers. David Peterson, Nolan McLean, Clay Holmes, and Kodai Senga. It's a solid rotation, and they could use a six-man later this year or early this year. Sean Mania is in the mix there right now, but they haven't committed to the six-man rotation long-term. Washington Nationals, great young team to look out for. C.J. Abrams, James Woods, Dalen Liley, I think is how you say it. Just a couple names to look out for. I mean, this is a young lineup, but it's and you got Dylan Cruz too. He was actually opposite of AAA. They want to see him develop it. He was second overall pick a few years ago, but he'll be up in due time. Their rotation, really there's a couple veterans in this, but Cade Cavelli, Foster Griffin, Zach Little, Miles McCollus. That's a veteran right there, former Cardinal, and then you have Jake Irvin. But this is a rebuilding team. This is a team with a lot of prospects there. And then last but not least, the Philadelphia Phillies. A team highlighted by Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. They did add Adolis Garcia, slugger that was with the Texas Rangers. He's going to be with the team this year. Great rotation of Christopher Sanchez, young left-handed pitcher. Jesus Luzardo, who they traded for last year, did well. Aaron Nola, we'll see. This is a guy, 200 strikeouts, could win you 13-plus games in a year. Last year, he was horrible. He went 5 for 16 or something, 6 ERA. He got hurt. He was banged up. You have Tajon Walker, former Met All-Star, and Andrew Painter. Zach Wheeler is expected to be back with them sometime end of April, maybe early May. But he's progressing well. He didn't pitch in spring training, but he almost did. So with that being said, Bob, there's your National League East. What are you thinking right now?
I think the best team in the East would be the Mets right now. Because money buys a lot. I do like Philadelphia for second. I think Philadelphia's got a very good young team, some good starting pitching. I think Atlanta's going to be there fighting for that second spot. But I think the Mets is going to just dominate that division.
Right. I think I'm going to side with you. I'm going to go with the Mets here at first just because I think their pitching's a little better too. One guy that was not listed because they don't mention the bullpen on here, Devin Williams, who was with the Yankees last year. He actually was relieved of his closer job, but this was a guy that was a top young closer in the league, and they think there's a lot left in the tank.
I think he could be a closer with New York.
Yeah, again because he was with the Yankees.
Well, the Mets.
With the Mets this time, and I think he'll do well. But the Phillies also have Durant, who's also a very good closer.
Yeah, I see the Phillies in second. I think Philly's going to be there competing against the Mets for that division.
This is where we're going to go a little bit different, okay? I'm going to go, Mets and Phillies are going to the playoffs. Mets is going to win the division. Phillies are going to the playoffs. Miami, I'm going with third, okay? Because a lot of their prospects are ready to go and perform now. There's not going to be a ton of developing with this crew. Like I mentioned, Xavier Edwards, he's one of the better contact hitters in the league right now. He's a first-round pick. He has shown that. He's played for a couple of years now, and he has shown it. You got to, especially if Stowers can come. Again, you're saying that he might be out for a little longer than people would like to know, and some of their pitching, I think, is better than some of what Atlanta. And that's my thing with Atlanta is Atlanta's batting lineup is solid. The pitching could use a tune-up.
Yeah, but Atlanta's got a pitching coach like we got here in Cleveland.
They do.
He'll get them straightened out.
Right. I got Washington last, but you're going to see signs that they're moving the right direction. I really like what Washington has there. So,
I like the Mets in that division.
But will you say how many teams are going to the playoffs in your opinion?
In that division, it's possible two.
Two.
With the Mets and the Phillies.
Yeah.
I don't see. I don't know. I think two will come out of that division.
There you go. Moving on, National League Central, we got the Milwaukee Brewers who won the Central last year. Actually, I think they were the first team that clinched.
They were the first team to clinch, and no offense, they should be the best this year.
Yeah. They have a good team. There's some prospects they're caught up, but we're talking about top prospects ready to go. They are headlined by Jackson. I apologize if I butcher Chiriot. Their speedy left fielder. Bryce Terang, one of the better contact second baseman game. William Contreras, one of the better hitting catchers in the league, and Christian Yelich. They have a rotation of Jacob Misrowski, who is one of their top pitching prospects there. Brandon Woodruff is expected to come back around. And again, most of their pitch rotation is young, but it's good young. It's guys that are more polished and ready to go. This is not a rebuilding team by any means. It's guys that swung some trades for top prospects and are ready to perform now. Similar to what Cleveland did in the beginning of the Terry Francona era. And so like they made some trades, but it's guys that are like really like seriously right now they're ready to go and they're going to perform very well. So it's something to look out for there. St. Louis Cardinals, not a lot of hype going into the season. Young team. They're still waiting to see what they can get out of Jordan Walker, one of their top prospects. But this is, I mean, you got Alec Burleson in the mix there, but this is a lot of new names here in the lineup there. In the starting rotation, Matthew Liberatore is going to be their ace here with Miles McCreevy. That these are guys that were with them last year. Dustin May, former Dodger, signed with them, and he'll be in the middle of that rotation. May is solid. It's just about getting him the work in. And there's games where when he's good, he's great. When he's off, he gives up a little bit. He's not a batting cage per se, but he gives up a little more runs than you want to. But it's a good addition for them there. Chicago Cubs, who also went to the playoffs last year in this division. I mean, you're talking about a lineup that can do all sorts of things from contact to power. Michael Busch, Nico Horner, Ian Happ, Pete Crow Armstrong, Carson Kelly, Dansby Swanson. They did add Alex Bregman, the third baseman, and Michael Conforto, who was with the Dodgers.
And adding Brakeman really solidified that team.
It did. It really did. And look out for Matt Shaw, too.
Yeah.
A guy that's hurt, but he's he's expected to come back very soon. Is Seiya Suzuki, who would start off as a good contact hitter for them, and now he's showing some power. He hit 31 home runs last year. Rotation, solid. Matthew Boyd. Cade Horton, who was a rookie for them last year, really showed up. Jamison Talion. They did, Shota Minaga, who was one of their top pitchers last year. They traded for Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins, a solid young righty pitcher. So that's going to be a good look for them. Pittsburgh Pirates, what I call a top 5 offseason in Major League Baseball.
They had one of the best offseason deals. I mean, getting guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You have Marcell Ozuna, who they signed, their designated hitter. Ryan O'Hearn, their first multi-year deal that they signed somebody since, I think, 2018. So it's been a while. They traded for Brandon Lowe, slugging second baseman of the Pirates there. Connor Griffin, he's a top prospect in baseball. He's a shortstop. He's rumored, they haven't said it yet, he's rumored to have made the opening day roster. And that's going to be a big deal. And this is why Paul Skeens could have won probably 30 games last year. I'm not even joking. With just 2 more runs of support in most games. That's all he needed. They got him some hitting. This team looks a lot better. You have Mitch Keller. Bubba Chandler, another prospect pitcher, made the rotation. They have a solid rotation going. This is one of the best Pirates teams going into this year we have seen in a while.
Yeah.
There. And then you have, of course, Bob, the Cincinnati Reds.
Really didn't do a lot in the offseason. But
No.
I'll tell you what. Terry Francona got them going in the right direction.
Right.
And I see them probably third in that division.
Right. Hold that thought because we'll get the standings there. But to talk about what they did add, Wignio Suarez returned there. He's going to be the designated hitter, the power designated hitter. Key Brian Hayes, third base, was highly valued in Pittsburgh. Did not work out. Could he turn it around? A new situation always helps those players. Could he turn it around in Cincinnati?
I think so. I think Terry can do it.
Yeah, but you also have T.J. Friedel, Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz. There's some talented guys in this lineup. And, of course, you have the rotation. They're going to do a 6-man rotation this year, Bob. Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Brady Singer, Rhett Lauder, Chase Burns, and Brandon Williamson. And then he's not mentioned here, but their closer who slipped in my mind, he's expected to be one of the top closers in the league as well. And here's the before we get into the standings here, CBS rated teams that made the playoffs last year, who most likely was going to miss, who was not going to be, who was not. Number 1 was the Cincinnati Reds. Number 2 was the Cleveland Guardians. They attacked Ohio over the weekend. Bob, we have 3 teams that made the playoffs in the National League Central. What do you think?
I think it could happen again.
It could happen again.
I think it could happen again. I think the NL Central is the best division in the National League.
There you go.
That's my opinion. I think Milwaukee will win that division. I think the Cubs will be second. I really believe the Reds will be third. And then your Pittsburgh's fourth. And St. Louis Cardinals last. Because there really wasn't a lot of improvement with St. Louis this year. You got a lot of young talent.
Right.
But a lot of them ain't, ain't there yet.
Right. I'm going to disagree with CBS here. I'm going to agree with Bob. I'm going to pick Milwaukee first. This team's just healthy. They're ready to go. They're ready to dominate. I don't think last year was a fluke. I think it was a sign for more things to come. It's just that they got outplayed. I mean, we all know who else is in that National League, and they were just overpowered at the end of the day. Second, Bob, call me crazy. I'm going the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, I can see it. I'm just saying I'm going third right now but Terry's got him in the right direction.
Right.
He got him in the right direction.
I think part of it too is he's got him not only in the right direction. I think that hitting is going to show up more. And the other thing to watch out for, that Chase Burns, the former number 2 pick overall, he throws some heat. Could he take away all the eyes from Paul Skeens and towards him, and really, really dominate in Major League Baseball, become one of the top young pitching prospects? We'll see it here. Third, I'm going with the Cubs. Here's the reason why: is they have a good lineup. Okay. I think they'll hit a little bit better than they did last year. Starting pitching-wise, I like it. I'm not sure about the bullpen. I'm on the fence about the bullpen, and I think that is going to be the make and break for them. But they're going to go to the playoffs, okay? Fourth, this is going to be one of the toughest divisions in baseball. I'm going with the Pirates, but listen. I got them with 84 wins. Call me crazy, because the schedule's different than what it used to be. I am sold on what Pittsburgh did. They are going to be them and the Reds are going to be the 2 surprise teams in all of baseball. And the Pirates are going to be fun to watch. And it's going to be where you're going to miss this year, but next year it's going to get even better. Yeah. But they got to stay healthy.
I see it.
But you have to watch out, see if that Connor Griffin performs. Skeens is going to be okay. We know that for a fact. With the rest of the rotation, because the rest of the rotation last year was not that good. They're going to this year. It's looking better. It's and then fifth, I'm going. St. Louis needs a rebuild year. Yeah, it just needs to happen. It's time to move on. They traded away all the big names. They moved on from a lot of guys. It's you got to take. Unfortunately, that it's one of those years where you just watch baseball because you love it. If you're a St. Louis Cardinals fan, and I have nothing against Cardinals or their fans. It's just this year's just going to be like that. This is going to be a top 5 draft pick next year, no matter what the lottery swings there. So. We do got to take a break, Bob. We're going to rush it up. We're going to talk about the National League West. We're going to talk about the American League. And, of course, the Cleveland Guardians, the local team. What are they going to do this year? And then we're going to make our predictions based on our standings, our early prediction of what the World Series match is going to be, who's going to win, who's going to lose. Baseball's back. I'm excited. We'll be back. Welcome back to 10 Cent Beer Night. We're in the middle of our Major League Baseball preview here with Baseball Bob, of course, our favorite co-host here. And are we in agreement as far as going back to the National League Central that Brewers, Cubs, and Reds are making the playoffs there? Okay.
Yes. I believe those are the 3 teams that come out of Central.
National League West, real quick. We got the Arizona Diamondbacks, a mix of young prospects and veterans. You have Geraldo Perdomo, the great shortstop that was a great contact hitter. Corbin Carroll started turning back to what he did a couple years ago with the power and the speed and the stolen bases and everything. Pavin Smith, Alec Thomas, veteran second baseman Ketel Marte, but they also added Nolan Arenado for third and Carlos Santana, a name we know here, for first base. Rotation's interesting with Zach Gallen, Ryan Nelson, Brandon Faddet, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Michael Soroka. They do have Merrill Kelly back, who they traded away to Texas in the trade deadline, but he is hurt, and they think he's going to miss some time. It's not sure how much, but he did get some work in the spring. So that's a team. Again, we'll get to it, but they could make some noise here with the talent that they have. Los Angeles Dodgers are back-to-back champions here. Shohei Ohtani's going to be back in the rotation. It could be a 6-man rotation here. But as for the batting lineup, the biggest addition is going to be Kyle Tucker, the right fielder that signed a big contract with the Dodgers there. Nobody else new. Miguel Rojas is expected to be second base with Mookie Betts at shortstop. Everybody else is back from last year. As far as the rotation goes, Yamamoto will be your first pitcher. Tyler Glasnow, Shohei, as I said, Emmett Sheehan, who came up from the Dodger system, and Roki Sasaki. Both Blake Snell and Gavin Stone are hurt. And then you have, of course, Edwin Diaz, former Mets closer. He's going to be their new closer on top of everything else they have. San Francisco Giants that are leading things off against the New York Yankees tonight on Wednesday night here. Kind of an interesting situation. A lot of aged veterans, but at the same time, there's some young guys too.
Young guys.
Yeah, you have Halet Ramiro Ramos. You have Rafael Devers, who they traded for last year. Matt Chapman, Willie Adams, who had the big contract last year. They signed Luis Arias, one of the better contact hitters this year. They have him at second base here, but he could be first base. And Harrison Bader, center fielder, also joins the Giants on a long-term contract. Rotation's pretty strong with Logan Webb, Robbie May, and Tyler Mao. Adrian Hauser also will mention there with Landon Rope. But we'll get to it a little bit how I feel about the Giants there. San Diego Padres, again, similar to the Diamondbacks, where there's a lot of young guys, but there's also a lot of veterans here. Of course, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Ramon Laureano, who they traded for last year, Nick Castellanos they signed in the offseason. They signed Miguel Andujar, who also was with Cleveland briefly, for first base there. In the rotation, Nick Pivetta, Michael King, Randy Vasquez, German Marquez, and then Walker Buehler, former Dodger there, who had a stint with the Red Sox last year. So a lot of talent, but also a lot of question marks there. But they do have Mason Miller, who's expected to be the best closer in the league since a certain guy decided to gamble in Cleveland. And then you have the Colorado Rockies there, the rebuilding team here. Jake McCarthy, former Akron Rubber Duck Willie Castro, also is a all-star. Hunter Goodman, a good catcher there. A lot of new names there. And then the rotation of Kyle Freeland, Michael Lorenzen, former Cincinnati Red there, Jose Quintina, and then just a lot of new names, a lot of prospects there. Bob, what do you think?
Well, I think the Dodgers will three-peat it. I really believe the Dodgers.
He's skipping to the World Series, but yeah.
Dodgers. No, I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Winning the division.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to be a toss-up between San Francisco and San Diego as your. Either one of those could be the second place team. Right. It's going to be close. As for Arizona and Colorado, I don't see them in the mix going into the.
Really.
I don't see it happening.
The reason I say, well, I'm going to agree with him with the Dodgers. Okay, we can just put them in first there, keep them there, say they're going to the playoffs there. I'm going to go with Padres second. My issue with them being is, okay, the batting lineup is great. Don't get me wrong. There's some question marks, but that can get fixed in due time. The rotation is solid, but it doesn't stream. It's like a B, grade B rotation. Yeah, it's same thing with bullpen. With the exception, well, their bullpen's a little bit better than most teams. So I'll say their bullpen's probably a little stronger than their rotation. That's why I'm going to have them 2. I'm going to go Arizona 3.
I can't see it, but okay.
I'm going to go because I have reason to believe some of the younger guys are going to step it up this year. Okay, if they don't, they could fall to 4. I'm being realistic here. I'm going to go San Francisco 4 because I think they didn't make some great investments into some of their lineup. Like, I like Devers a lot. I'm a big Devers fan. Chapman strikes out a lot. Adams does not have eye-popping numbers like a well-paid shortstop would. I do like the Arias pickup, but other than that, and I like the rotation overall. But I think there's something's missing there in San Francisco. I can't put my finger on it, but I said, look, they're going to be a 3rd or 4th place team here. I am going to put Colorado dead last. It's going to be another rough year, but they are getting more prospects, and I think Colorado could be the worst team in the league this year. in the entire league there. So playoffs wise, I'm saying L.A.,
Milwaukee, and the Mets, with Cincinnati,
Chicago,
and Philly.
Yeah, so nobody coming out of the West.
Nobody coming out of the West except for the Dodgers. I mean, they're going to win the division.
Right. I thought for some reason there were 7 spots. There's just 6.
There's 6.
There's 6. Yeah. Okay. I will put the other teams we've mentioned over San Diego. Again with San Diego, I think their starting rotation is just not a strong point for them, and I think that's going to hurt them there. Okay.
Hey, let's go back. First of all, there was some news that come out for the Guardians' sake this week with the MLB stating that the Guardians do not have to pay Clase and Ortiz this season. So that freed up $7 million in the Guardians money wise. So
that's good.
So they do not have to pay them this season. They did pay them last season,
right?
And they've been suspended for how long, but. So that helped out. We got $7 million to work with, so maybe we can go out and get a big gun. Go ahead.
Nice. Okay, we'll go to the American League East real quick. The defending American League champs, the Blue Jays. We're going to start with them. They did lose Bo Bichette,
yeah.
But they did add Kazuma Okamoto for third base, one of the top Japanese additions in free agency. The rest of everybody's pretty much there, from George Springer, Dalton Varsho, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Addison Barter, and whatnot. The rotation there, they did add Dylan Cease, and he will join Max Scherzer, Eric Lauer, Kevin Gossman, and Cody Ponce there. Shane Bieber will be eventually in the mix. He is hurt. He's got a forearm injury there. But with Dylan Cease, I mean, you got a guy, when he's on, he strikes out a lot of guys. But when he's off, I mean, they
hammer him.
They do.
They hammer him.
The Baltimore Orioles, a young team with some budding solid talent overall. You have Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, look out for. They did sign Taylor Ward, formerly of the Angels. Pete Alonso, formerly of the Mets. That was a big addition for them. And they've had Tyler O'Neill, of course, a former Red Sox there in the mix. Jackson Holiday broke his hamate bone in his right hand, and Jordan Westbrook had a partially tear UCL, so that's going to hurt them. But Holiday could be back in mid-May, so something to look out for. He'd be their second baseman. Rotation of Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, Shane Baz, who they traded from Tampa Bay, former Akron Zip Chris Bassett, and then Zach Eflin stayed there as well. You have the Tampa Bay Rays with the new CEO Ken Babby, who used to own the Akron Rubber Ducks there.
Does he still own the Jumbo Shrimps?
No, he sold both teams
and
to the same company. So the owners of the Ducks now still own the Jumbo Shrimp.
Okay.
So he did sell both of his minor league teams there. Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero. They added Cedric Mullins in the offseason as well. A lot of young guys. Carson Williams, prospect shortstop there. With their rotation, Drew Rasmussen, Nick Martinez, Ryan Pepiot that they got out of the Glasgow trade, and then Shane McClanahan, who was their ace a few years ago, but from injuries, he is finally healthy and in the rotation. He had a great spring, so watch out for him there. Boston Red Sox, prospects, Roman Anthony, Jarren Duran. They did add Wilson Contreras as their new first baseman. You got Wiley Abreu. They did add Caleb Durbin, who was formerly of the Brewers. That was one of their trades there. The Brewers, I should say. But they're starting pitching. Watch out. Garrett Crotchet. They got Ranger Suarez, who was formerly of the Phillies. Sonny Gray, who was with the Cardinals last year. Brian Bello and Johan Ovidio. New York Yankees, of course, a power-studded lineup there with Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Giancarlo Stanton, Jazz Chisholm Jr. No big additions in the lineup there, but here's the thing. The rotation, when it gets healthy, it's going to get dangerous. Right now, it's Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Ryan Weathers, and Louis Gill. But Carlos Rondon and Garrett Cole are expected to be back early first half of the season. So
around June.
Yeah. All right, Bob. That's the AL East.
I'm going with Tampa. I'm going with Toronto.
I was going to say, oh my gosh.
I'm going with Toronto. I think Toronto will repeat that division, but I'll tell you what. I think Boston will be second place.
He's got to go Boston.
I'm going to go Boston with second, and I'm going with the Yankees third, and Baltimore fourth, and I lost the Tampa Bay.
And that's a big drop for Baltimore, who we were very high on.
Well, I just think the other two. Well, of course, the Yankees got a lineup that's
right.
Money can one of the best money can buy.
Right.
Of course, Judd had a very bad championship game in the World Classic Series.
Right, he did.
But I see Toronto repeating that division.
There you go. I'm going to go actually New York first. I'm going to go Boston second. I'm going to go Toronto third. Those three teams are going to make the playoffs. My attitude with Baltimore is going to be similar to Pittsburgh. They're going to have a winning season, but they're going to fall short of the playoffs. And then Tampa Bay is going to be a rebuilding year here. Tampa Bay's got a good future. I'm going New York first because I really like their bullpen. We didn't really talk. I mean, they have David Barner. His name Barner. Excuse me. His name's not in front of me here. He's going to be their closer. He played very well in the World Baseball Classic. He was with the Pirates last year. I like the Yankees power lineup. I think it's going to be better than it was last year. I think some of the guys like Rice, for example, Ben Rice, they're going to step it up and produce better. Boston, this is one of their better teams in a while. Especially
I just think if their pitching staffs come through, they'll be there.
Yeah. And I like the rotation. I think it's solid. I'm not trying to downplay Toronto, but I think losing Bo Bichette did hurt, and there's a couple question marks in their lineup they didn't have last year. I think the pitching's going to hang tight, and it's going to really, and it's going to help really solidify most of these games. My other thing, too, is George Springer is getting up there, and I don't know if he's going. Yeah. Last year may have been his last good year of his career. There's a case to be made.
I just think Saparo's going to find something to get him to win again.
I mean, he could. I got him all those three I mentioned in the playoffs there. And, yeah, like I said, Tampa Bay, they got good things coming. I think McClanahan, watch out for him being one of the top pitchers in the American League East. If he's healthy, I think he will surprise people there. We're gonna do the Central last.
Yeah, do the Central last. Let's do this one quick.
We're out of time. The West here. We'll start with the Anaheim Angels. Young team, a lot of prospects. They did add Josh Lowe, former Rays outfielder. Mike Trout, if he's healthy, he's gonna play. You have Jorge.
If he's healthy.
There. Yeah. Rotation. You have Yusei Kikuchi, who was an all-star last year. You have Reed Detmers, who's a veteran, but the rest, new names.
Yeah, they're gonna have another down year.
Astros, they did bring back Isaac Paredes. Jordan Alvarez, if he's healthy, he'll be one of the top hitters in the league there. You got Cam Smith. Carlos Correa is back after trade deadline with them last year. The Jose Altuve. Starting pitchers, Hunter Brown was one of the better starting pitchers last year. I think he was second in the American League Cy Young next to Tarek Skubal. You got Christian Javier, and you got a new guy, Tetsuya Ima, who was the Japanese pickups for the rotation. Overall, solid rotation there. The A's, star-studded prospect.
Should we still call them Oakland, or should we call them Las Vegas?
They don't call them anything here. They just call them the A's. Nick Kurtz, Shane Linglers, Brent Rooker. I know he's not young, but he's a power hitter. Tyler Soderstrom, Jacob Wilson. They did have Jeff McNeil, great contact hitter from the Mets at second. Lawrence Butler there in right. Different Max Muncy in third, not the same one that's with the Dodgers. The rotation of Luis Severino, big pickup they had in the offseason with Luis Morales, Jeffrey Springs, Jacob Lopez, and Aaron Savali, former Cleveland Guardian there. Mariners retained Josh Naylor. They brought in Brandon Donovan, who was with the Cardinals. Everybody else is pretty much from last year there. Starting pitchers, if healthy, it's going to be Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller, one of the best rotations in baseball. You have the Rangers added Brandon Nemo in the offseason, who was with the Mets last year. You have Jock Peterson was with them last year, but Josh Jung, Josh Smith, Wyatt Langford, Corey Seager, Jake Berger. Pretty much guys of last year, and then a rotation of Jacob deGrom, who bounced back last year, Nathan Eovaldi, Mackenzie Gore, that was an addition, lefty power strikeout pitcher from the Washington Nationals, who was an All-Star last year, Jake Leader and Karma Rockner. All right, Bob.
I'll just go with my pick. I'll go with Seattle to win it.
He's going to go with Seattle to win it there. Give me Seattle first, Houston second,
Texas third.
Going Sacramento. I'm going. I think
you're going to go with the A's.
The pitching is going to be inconsistent.
Vegas A's.
But the hitting's going to be great. Yeah. The young hitting's going to be great.
They're going to be competitive.
And the thing, I think them and Texas going to be neck and neck. Texas rotation is good, but it's very aged. You don't know if the guy's going to be the same. Where the A's, like, the pitching is up in the air. The hitting, I'm so sold on. They're going to be one of the better hitting teams in the entire league.
Well, if I was going to pick, I picked Seattle. But if I was going to go, I'd go Houston, Oakland, Sacramento,
right,
and Texas. I'd go that route.
Anaheim's at the bottom. Okay, and then of course our American League Central going. Start. They actually have the Guardians here first. No big.
Big deals.
But Rhys Hoskins did make the team there. Bazana's going to wait, but De Lautner made the team first round pick there. Your rotation of Tanner Bybee, Gavin Williams, Slade Cisani, Joey Cantillo, and Parker Mizik. And then for the Royals, no big deals. They did add Lane Thomas, but that was it. But you do have Miguel Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and Salvador Perez. It's a good lineup there with a rotation of Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, and Chris Bubik. Tigers, there were some additions there. Not much in the batting lineup at all. It's more from last year, same guys. But they did add Framber Valdez, and they brought back Justin Verlander. And then from last year, of course, Terry Skubal, Jack Flaherty, and Casey Miz. The Twins, nothing new. And they're going to be rebuilding, and it's going to be very interesting. And then for the White Sox, their only addition is Mentika Murakami, the slugging first baseman there. But he does not do well with pitchers 90 miles per plus. I mean, it's...
So really, the Central Division didn't add a lot.
No, they did not. They didn't.
It's pretty much the same as last year.
Same as last year. All right, Bob, what do you think?
I'm going to go with if the pitching staff stays healthy, I'll go with Cleveland to win it.
Cleveland win it.
Yeah, Cleveland to win the division.
What about
with Detroit and then Kansas City, Minnesota last. I'm going Minnesota last. And I can't remember who the other one is.
Real quick. I'm going Detroit first. I'm sold on what they have. As long as they're healthy, they're going to be very, very good. I've been wishy-washy in Guardians. I'm going to go second. I'm done doubting Vogt. He's done very good. He finds a way to win with what he has. I think they could use more to dominate.
Oh, we definitely need more hitting.
Yeah, they definitely need more. That's why I thought some of the younger guys were going to cut. And watch out for Daniel Espino should he come up. He had a good spring. But if he can be healthy and bounce back, that's the guy to watch out for if he makes the rotation. A lot of people are
I still think
like Cade Smith, the closer.
I still think we got the best pitching staff in the Central Division.
I'll tell you, I got Kansas City Royals. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to be third.
Well, wait, hold on. A couple years ago, we had a.
Can they make it there?
A couple years ago, we had 3 teams come out of the Central.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna say in the West, it's just gonna be Seattle. I think Houston's gonna barely miss it. They're gonna be second.
Well, that's what happened last year.
Yeah. I'm going to say repeat. I'm going to just say repeat there. I'm going to agree with him. White Sox will be better than people think, and they're going to go fourth. And then Minnesota last. But I do, Guard's got to stay healthy to make it happen. But Vogt has won with what he has. he's a magician out there. Okay, World Series matchup real quick because we are
World Series matchup. God, you put me in. I'm gonna go with like it was last year, Dodgers and Toronto.
Dodgers and Toronto there. I am going to say this is going to be a surprise. I will say Dodgers for the National League. I'm going Detroit Tigers for the American League. I don't want to see it, but I like what they're doing. I'm sold on it. And it's going to... I got a couple guys that I think are going to progress upwards. Like Torkelson, I think is going to do better.
Yeah. I hope you're right, but I like to see a Central Division team go.
Right. But the pitching's the big story with them, I think, too. Like, I think it's a good mix of the pitching and the hitting.
I would just like to see Cleveland add one more bat. We need a bat.
Right. We got to wrap this up. Sorry for going over it there. Next week, we'll talk about the Cavs. We'll talk about the Guardians. We'll get to talk about that a little bit more. And, yeah, I mean, that's gonna be mainly our show going forward. We're going into the end of spring.
Well, we got some Browns news.
Draft's coming up, but
we got that stadium issue.
No,
they're fighting it again. They're still fighting it.
We gotta go. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, producer Bob, for your patience here today. Go Guards, go Cavs. Have a good one, everybody.